Terrible timing. Right when
literally the second your mic was on.
Dude, I know, dude. I don't know what went wrong, dude. I mean, like, the second the show went to start, my body just betrayed me. I don't know, man. I never had allergies back in the day, and now I feel like such an allergy kid. And it's probably karma because he used to make fun of my wife and her allergies all the time.
Well,
What's up, though? I know, dude. I know. Wait, all of that was on the mic?
Yeah, half of it was.
Oh, no.
Literally the second I turned the mic on, it's like you were,
That was
hacking up
Fleming sounding start there as well. Well, hopefully today's show won't be nearly as flimmy. Welcome in to Snaps, the nation's hottest college football podcast featuring two former players of the current teams leading the SEC's East and West. That's right. The only college football podcast that can say that. I'm your host, T-Bob Hebert, joined by your other host, Mr. Aaron Murray. Aaron, what's up, dude?
What's up? Just got done paying a hefty speeding fine for my actions going down to Jacksonville. So not happy about that. So damn. But he did.
How much
did
was
hook me
it?
up though. Like
14 over. I feel like that should be like about 175.
I was going 84 to 70. All right,
84 to 70. I'm saying
you want to throw in this
175.
action?
What was your number, T-Bob?
175.
I'm
Don't
going
price is right,
226.
Ooh, 273.
Damn. That's inflation, dude. That's definitely inflation. I mean, 100%.
I'm with you. It is my birthday on Thursday. And what do you think my parents have been trying to ask me what do I want for my birthday? What if I'm like, can you just pay my speeding fine that I got on the way to Jacksonville?
No, that's at that point you just no. This is something I feel very As you get older, I like to use gifts for really just whatever. I mean, I guess I have like a million hobbies, so there's just a bunch of little tiny trifles that I like to tell people to get me, just to give me like little endorphin, dopamine rushes. When really I don't, what presents do you really need anymore? I mean, I don't know actually. Whatever. I'm about to go down a side where we don't. Okay, on today's show, college football playoff rankings back out. We're gonna break that down. We'll discuss how Tennessee is minus 250 to make the playoffs on Fanduel right now. By the way, you should download the Fanduel Sportsbook app, promo code SNAPS. I almost said Fanduel Sportsbook app, promo code SNAPS. It's got all kind of incredible deals going on constantly. No sweat first bets. Every single Thursday for Thursday Night Football, you just get a free $10 same game parlay to do. It's awesome. All right. So coming up today, and if you're a nerd, today's probably awesome because there's a new episode and God of War came out today. Very excited to try that out tonight. Okay, Aaron, biggest takeaway from the college football playoff rankings. I will let you start this one. What is your biggest takeaway from last night?
That we need to hire people that are full-time dealing with the college football playoffs. It's awful. It's horrendous. It's been bad weeks, and this week may have been the worst. And I'm cool with 1 through 6. And I don't mind LSU at 7. 1 through 6 is perfect. Georgia 1, obviously, that's a no-brainer. That's an easy decision. Everyone gets in there. Georgia 1, okay, good, let's move on. You could move Michigan to 2, possibly. Ohio State 2, whatever. I don't care about that. 2, Ohio State, 3, Michigan. I do like the fact they finally put TCU where they deserve to be. Tennessee at 5, didn't see anything wrong with that. And then 6, Oregon. I like that as well. Where I really start to see issue is, I'll just focus. 7's fine. LSU's fine. It's 8 and good. Down. You, especially the schools in LA, your petite Trojan boys versus my UCLA Bears. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. UCLA right now is a team, if you just want to compare resumes, has a far superior resume to UCLA or to USC, excuse me. They beat a ranked Washington. They beat a ranked Utah. And they have a better loss versus the number 6 team in the country in Oregon. Who has USC beat inside the top 25? No one. That's it. And their loss is to a number 13th ranked Utah. So not only does UCLA have better wins, 2 wins inside the top 25, their loss is significantly better than losing to Utah. And they're identical football teams. They play well on offense. I would say UCLA's defense is probably better than USC, especially the way USC has played on defense the past few games has been pretty bad. How in the hell do you have a 4-team gap between those two teams? I don't get it. I think if anything, it should be 8-9. I think UCLA should be ranked ahead of USC. If anything, I think once again they have the better resume, better wins, better loss. But to have a 4-team gap between the two, it's a little weird to me. I don't think Alabama should be in the top 10. I definitely don't think Clemson should be in the top 10. I think UCLA should have moved up. I would have UCLA at 8, USC at 9, and then Ole Miss at 10, followed by Alabama, and then Clemson. So that's just how I view it. I just, what, and the same thing with Alabama. Like, what has Alabama done this season that puts them in the top 10 besides beat Alabama? That's it. So, yeah, it's pretty crappy.
Well, I mean, look, in terms of maybe what Alabama has done, I mean, do they have any quality wins? No. I mean, they were dominant in a lot of their SEC wins, but none against good teams. They lost anytime they faced a good team. So your point stands on Alabama, and your point stands on USC, because what's kind of interesting, Aaron, is that USC seems to be trading on some sort of subconscious kind of brand value, because when you told me to compare their resumes, right? Because yes, UCLA looked like a bit of an odd outlier there at 12, but I had no problem with USC at 8. I mean, they got Lincoln Riley, they got Caleb Williams, they got this super flashy offense, but I'm like, okay, well, wait, hold on. I mean, UCLA has Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and DTR has been great this year. They have Chip Kelly, and then, as you said, they have better wins and better losses. So, but at the same time, again, that's not where my head was initially. So, for whatever reason, there is something subconscious in the air that has USC as feeling better than UCLA. And to your point, it's probably objectively wrong. Like, I think the only way that you could actually arrive here is maybe that they just will claim that USC has controlled more of their games, but I don't even know if that is right. Off the top of my head, that's a pretty flimsy argument to try to build this upon. Answer me this, though, because ultimately this will decide, like, against getting too upset about this. Answer me a very simple question. And this is actually a question I'd love to answer for the entire poll, which is like, who controls their own destiny and who does not? Does UCLA control its own destiny? If it wins every game from here on out, does it end up in the playoff?
I think all three of those Pac-12 teams do control their own destiny. Like, I do as well. If Oregon, USC, or UCLA are 12-1 and win the Pac-12, I anticipate them getting in, especially with what I've talked about this week already. The fact that I just think TCU is going to lose at some point, but I still think even at the end of the day, even if let's just play this scenario out. Georgia stays at 1, Ohio State beats Michigan, they end up winning that conference. Ohio State's at 2. ACC's done. I think we can all agree that the ACC is done. There's no way we can stop. We can stop talking about Clemson. The only thing we're going to talk about the ACC is, does Drake May make his way into the Heisman conversation? That is the only thing that I want to talk about for that conference for the rest of the season.
And it would be awesome for UNC if they were to go one loss and win an ACC championship. They wouldn't make the playoff, but that would be awesome. Like, that would be objectively cool for that school. Yeah.
Especially for how bad they've been on defense. But the ACC is done. I would still put and we both agree, the Big 12, while it may not be elite teams, and I guess it's hard to say there's not a really good team with TCU being undefeated if that's the case, but it's a great conference. It's a deep conference. It's the most competitive conference in America. If you can get through that schedule and win and go undefeated, then hell yeah, you deserve a spot in the playoffs. I would jump TCU to 3, and then it's do you put Tennessee at 4? Do you put Michigan at 4? I'd still put lean Tennessee over Michigan. Or do you put the Pac-12 I feel winner very confident at 4?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. My bad.
Yeah. I would lean towards Pac-12, then Tennessee.
Yes. A one-loss Pac-12 winner would make it over both, I would say, a one-loss Tennessee or a one-loss Michigan or Ohio State. I feel very confident that one-loss Tennessee will make it over the loser of Michigan, Ohio State. So really, to me, Aaron, the simplest way in all of this, and not to skip ahead, but this is probably why Tennessee still has those incredible odds. The simplest thing is that TCU will likely lose. I certainly hope that they do not. I will be cheering for them not to lose, which may be counterintuitive because LSU will not stand a chance of making the playoff likely if TCU goes undefeated. But like the people are telling you, the math is saying, look at Vegas. They're 7-point dogs this weekend. Vegas is saying that TCU will likely lose, and thus they and the Big 12 will be eliminated. So as you said, that leaves your UGA, that leaves your undefeated Big 10 champion, and then likely a one-loss Pac-12 champion. You know, we got to think one of those three teams can make it through unless Utah screws it all up. And then it comes down to Tennessee versus that one-loss Big 10 team, and Tennessee will win that battle. Like, that is why Tennessee is minus 250 to make the playoffs. That feels like, and even if you don't get your one-loss Pac-12 champion, that's fine. If things get even more chaotic, that just benefits one-loss Tennessee more, because one-loss Tennessee, save for maybe Georgia if they were to lose an SEC championship, one-loss Tennessee will be the most attractive one-loss team on the market. I mean, they're already at number 5. So, like, if anybody slips up, they're in.
I think there's the one scenario you brought up on our pre-show is for the Pac-12 if Utah wins. I mean, how crappy would that be? You have a really good conference this year. I would say you have 3 teams in my mind right now that you could easily make a case for being, top 10. 2 of them are top 10, and you know what I feel about UCLA deserving to be in the top 10.
Would absolutely be in a top 12 if there was a 12-team playoff. 3 Pac-12 teams.
Yes, there would be 3 Pac-12 teams right now. Actually, I don't know how that all would shift.
Well, we'd have to. I mean, down the
group of 5
things are going to get hairy down the stretch. Things are going to get hairy. The group of 5 team sneaks in at 12. But not only that, but like some of these losses, like not all of these Pac-12 teams are going to escape unscathed. So we could say, today 3 would make it, but likely you would have 2 teams in a 12-team playoff. I believe you could.
But if Utah wins, and Utah, I mean, you look at their schedule going forward. Stanford, they'll win that one at Colorado to end the season. But the big one's going to be on the 19th versus Oregon at Oregon. And we saw what Oregon at home looks like. They've one of the best records at home over the past 5 or so years. They dominated UCLA there inside that stadium. But Utah is a great football team. It is a dominant football team. So if they win that game and move on to the Pac-12 championship, that could be really, really interesting at that point. If they do win, essentially knocks off all hope. So if you're a Pac-12 fan, if you're someone that want and is rooting for that conference to make a playoff and essentially keep that maybe conference alive as all this realignment's going on, you need Utah to lose to Oregon, or just in general, make sure they do not win the Pac-12 championship. And then in that case, a one-loss USC or a one-loss UCLA win that conference at the end of the day. So there's a lot that could happen, and Utah always seems to be somewhat of a spoiler, whether it's them winning or losing over the past couple of years. So we'll see what unfolds on that out there on the West Coast. And then the other big question too, T-Bob, is LSU in this whole situation. If LSU wins out, if they beat Georgia, do you put a 2-loss, which has never happened, Bayou Tigers in the playoffs over a 1-loss Tennessee, who whooped their ass, and a 1-loss Georgia, who has been the best team in the country this season? That is when it gets really interesting, because you can literally just go in circles, and that's when you would really want the committee to essentially turn this whole thing into a reality TV show and let the audience see what exactly the hell is going on in that room.
Well, Aaron, it's only fitting when you really stop and think about it here. It is only fitting that LSU end up as the pure chaos agent in all of this. Because as you said, a 2-loss team has never made the playoff, right, Aaron? Do you know the only 2-loss team to ever win a national championship, to ever be crowned national champion at the end of the year? 2007 LSU. In 2011, it was a rematch between LSU and Alabama that finally ended up breaking the BCS and causing the creation of the playoff, right? Done. Why didn't Oklahoma State get a chance? Why did the other schools get a chance? So all of a sudden, we have a playoff. Well, thus, in 2022, when we see that the 4-team playoff is broken and you need to be able to get more in there, it is only fitting that LSU once again has the potential to break things wide open. Because imagine this, like Aaron is talking about here. you would have a 2-loss LSU SEC champion that would have given the Bulldogs their only loss of the season. You would have a 1-loss Tennessee that dominated LSU, but got dominated by those very same Bulldogs. And then you would have the Bulldogs that had dominated Oregon and Tennessee, but didn't win their conference. You'll also have a 1-loss Pac-12 champion floating around somewhere out there. You'll have a 1-loss Ohio State or Michigan combined with an undefeated Ohio State or Michigan. And you could even have an undefeated TCU. I mean, you were talking, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're talking about 7 teams that would have legitimate claims to make it into the top 4. And can you really, Aaron Murray, put 2 SEC teams in while keeping the SEC champion out? That, and you say that if TCU goes undefeated, they're automatically in, no matter what,
yes,
right?
TCU wins, they're in.
So right
TCU
here,
wins,
TCU and Big Ten are in. So then you're down to LSU, Tennessee, Georgia, Oregon, and well, that undefeated, the 1-loss Ohio State, Michigan would be out in this case. So you would be deciding 2 spots between LSU, Tennessee, Georgia, and Oregon, or whatever Pac-12 team.
Yeah, whatever the 1-loss Pac-12 team. Well, I still think the 1-loss Pac-12 team would get in.
Okay, so then who are you taking out of LSU, Tennessee, and Georgia?
Georgia. Of course, I'm taking Georgia.
Why though? LSU's the SEC champs. This is the loss of Florida State. It's a different team now.
Yeah, well, it's not a different team than a team literally a month ago that got their asses waxed there in Baton Rouge versus Tennessee.
SEC champs, dude. I don't know what to tell you. They won the head-to-head. You're going to put
you.
Georgia in over LSU? They won the head-to-head? What are you talking about?
I'm putting in Georgia ahead of them. Yes, I am. Georgia, the body of work that Georgia's done this year puts them ahead, just like it did last year. Georgia got in because of what they did from week 1 to week 12 and then how dominant they were in those games. They demonstrated to the committee and to everyone else in the country that they're a league game. I think the only thing that to me would change my mind in this situation, if say LSU goes and beats Georgia big, like say it's a 35-20 game, double-digit win, 2-touchdown win, LSU just looked that much more dominant. But say it's a game that we could realistically see. It's a 31-28 LSU win.
But but a little more luck in LSU. Like maybe they got like a couple tip balls that never should have happened, and some stuff went wrong because that's the only way that would ever happen.
Which is more realistic. I think that to me is a more realistic win. Like I don't. 100%. If anyone's going to blow anyone out, it's probably going to be Georgia blowing out LSU. So if LSU is going to win, I would say 80% chance, 90% chance that win is going to be a close 4-quarter battle where I don't think you necessarily ding Georgia. You just give LSU a pat on the back, say congratulations, you won the SEC championship game, and good luck next year, and enjoy your great.
I'd actually be kind of cool with that because then you get the SEC championship and you roll to a bowl game that you'll probably win. Like one of the awkward things about the Final Four in football is we're very used to this how the season ends, kind of defining the tenor of the year. And so when you lose in the Final Four, it hasn't yet gotten to the point where it feels like basketball, where you're still like proud of that. It just kind of hurts because you lost in the playoff when maybe you could have won a Fiesta Bowl or a Sugar Bowl or something along those lines. So look, I agree with you, Aaron. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think in that situation,
it's good too. It's a legitimate conversation.
I think a 1-loss Georgia gets in. I think that LSU fans would be arguing, but still not too unhappy, given that they would have an SEC championship. I think it is the Tennessee fans who would be severely depressed if that situation were to come about.
Well, I think Tennessee fans right now are rooting big for Texas and Baylor these next 2 weeks for one of them to somehow beat.
They need a spot to open up in
TCU. They do. They need a spot to open. But I mean, you said earlier, Vegas odds had them making it, and obviously Vegas also has Texas as a touchdown favorite as of right now against TCU this weekend. So I think a lot of people are anticipating kind of what I've been pushing a little bit that TCU will fumble it at some point this season. And yeah, Tennessee's in a great spot right now. Like, how could you be upset if you're a Volunteer fan? Your schedule's pretty easy going out for the next 3 games. You get to sit out the SEC championship game. You don't have to play in it. And there's a really, really good chance you're going to get a rematch versus Georgia in the Peach Bowl. They're in a somewhat neutral site, I guess, in Atlanta at the end of the day. So they're in a good spot. They can just sit back, relax, which is why I'm kind of leaning towards Tennessee with a big win this weekend, knowing that I think there's still a lot of belief in that locker room that, hey, guys, we just got to take care of business. We just do what we've done for the majority of the season, which is dominate, which they can versus Missouri this weekend at home, versus South Carolina, and then versus Vanderbilt. They are sitting pretty at the moment.
Yeah, Tennessee's golden, dude. I mean, golden. You just laid out the schedule. That's a guaranteed 3-0. I don't care. Like, save for one of the largest choke jobs that we have ever seen in modern college football, that should be a guaranteed 3-0 right there. Tennessee will make the playoff. Let's be clear about that. So if you're a Tennessee fan today, although it is interesting, right? In the question of who controls their own destiny and who does not, technically they don't, right? I would put UGA, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Oregon, USC, UCLA. Those are the teams that have full control over where they end up. Tennessee, LSU, Clemson, Bama, Ole Miss, Utah do not. But Ole Miss is still a little interesting in all of this to me. If they were to beat Alabama and then LSU trips up somewhere down the stretch here, all of a sudden what happens if you have Ole Miss sneak into Atlanta for the first time? If they would somehow pull off an upset, like they don't control their own destiny, but Ole Miss is not dead by. They got a little bit of UCLA disease going on, Aaron, where there's not a ton of belief in them.
SEC. Yeah, well, if they win the SEC with one loss, then they're in. I mean, that's different than an LSU team with 2 losses. Plus, their loss was on the road there in Baton Rouge. So I think that looks a little bit better.
And then you take Georgia over Tennessee. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, but once again, they're not in control of their own destiny.
But they still are a playoff contender. Like, they actually have the ability, a relatively realistic path to getting to the playoff.
Well, it's they're coming off the bye week. What does Alabama look like? Like, we would say, you never want to face Alabama after a loss. Well, once again, this is not the same Alabama. Like, this Alabama football team does not have that juice, that it factor, that scariness that they've had in years past. Where, like, you better be wary. Like, no, I don't think Ole Miss is looking like, oh man, we're about to, the bear's been poked, the bear's been awoken, and we're scared of Nick Saban coming off this loss this past weekend to LSU. Like, now they're like, hey, we got a bye week. We're feeling healthy. Alabama's been pretty bad against the run in those 2 losses. We are the best running team in the SEC. I'm a little bit concerned about their defense and their ability to stop the run. But if they win this game, I feel pretty good that they can take care of business versus Arkansas. I feel really good that they can take care of business versus Mississippi State. So, then you just need a little bit of luck. You just need LSU to lose one of their next 3 games. And, I think I said it yesterday, LSU's last 3 games is just as easy in my mind compared to what Tennessee has to finish off their season as well. Like, there's absolutely no reason LSU should not run Arkansas out of their own building, UAB, and then A&M at the end of the season.
So certainly LSU fans remain a bit fearful of Arkansas. Things have gotten weird in this rivalry quite a bit, but I don't see it this year. And then I don't know, A&M, there's always the fear. I don't know why I still like I know my brain is broken because I'm still just thinking like one day A&M's going to wake up and be like a good football team, but that's just not the case. Like, they're bad. Florida just whooped their ass. So you're right. It is an easy final score for LSU. Yes, sir.
I want to go to the chat real quick. Bilbo said, the college football playoff spot for them, which, speaking of Tennessee, is the Peach Bowl, which is far from neutral for that matchup. I get it. It's in Georgia, but this isn't like you're asking.
No, that would be about
Oregon
50-50
fans,
though, dude.
You're not asking Oregon fans to travel across the country. Like, Tennessee fans are 3 hours away from Atlanta. Like, it would be,
it would be 50-50. Tennessee would, yes, 100%.
I wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't be surprised if it was 55-45 Tennessee fans.
Especially now that Georgia is Alabama, and we'll be like, well, we got to save our money to go to the national title game.
Exactly.
That is real. Like, that is actually very real. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked a lot of SEC here, boys. Let's go to one of the. We keep touching on this idea of the 1-loss Pac-12 team. If you're calling your shot today, who is the 1-loss Pac-12 team that makes it?
If I want to call my shot today about which team makes it, I'm going to go Oregon. I think
even though they have the hardest schedule down the stretch,
they do have the hardest schedule down the stretch. But I do think it's huge the fact that they get, I would say, the hardest team on their schedule, which is Utah. They get them at home. You look at their toughest games, they get Washington at home. They get Utah at home. Yep. And then they have to go on the road versus Oregon State. But I would say those two other games are more important. And I'll have to get the record at Eugene. I had it a few weeks ago when they played UCLA. But like the stats of their record at home is it's almost untouchable, what they do inside that stadium. So supreme confidence in them. And then I'm going with my Bruin boys to take care of business versus USC in 2 weeks. So they'll get a rematch. But they look pretty good that first go round.
Whatever, barren. Nobody's even going to show up to that game in the Rose Bowl. I'm not worried about that game for USC. I would be a little concerned if I were USC about this Notre Dame football team that is all of a sudden feeling themselves and is playing a power style of offensive football where they're like, oh, wait, we suck at quarterback. Like, let's stop trying to throw the ball. We have a really good offensive line. Let's just line it up and start to try to run all over people. And like, USC's defense has regressed to the mean. Like the turnovers that were propping them up have gone back to normal now. And so that is a defense that is struggling more and more. Now getting them at home is nice, but I agree with you. Between UCLA and Notre Dame and a Pac-12 championship game and USC having a clear weakness in their defense where Oregon looks like a more complete team, at the end of the day, I fall on Oregon. And that's also, and UCLA is eliminated in this case because toe-to-toe with UCLA, we saw what happened with UCLA and Oregon. And plus, I mean, here's a crazy question that we never would have considered before the year. Who has the better quarterback in the Oregon-USC matchup?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. It's Caleb Williams. When it comes to just pure talent and if you're asking like, okay, if I'm an NFL team and I need a quarterback, who am I picking in the NFL draft?
No, that's not exactly what I'm asking.
Or you just like
what I'm asking.
Who's
like in the context of their teams and everything else, like who is kind of the better college football quarterback this year?
I would still go Caleb Williams. I think Caleb is he's special. And then let's go through Oregon's schedule real quick before we, listen, Bo's having a great year. You know how much I appreciate Bo Nix and, what he did last year without any support there at Auburn to what he's done since that loss to Georgia. But Eastern Washington, BYU, who is horrendous, Washington State, Stanford, Arizona, great game versus UCLA. That's a really good one. I tip my hat off to that. Then Cal, then Colorado. Where is that impressive win there? I think he's benefited from an easy schedule, which, I mean, honestly, you can say the same thing about Caleb Williams too. Like they both are having great years going against crap competition. Like I want to see what Bo Nix now looks like against Washington, against Utah, and against Oregon State. And I want to see the same thing for Caleb Williams as he gets ready to go versus UCLA and then Notre Dame the last two games of the season. Like this is when we really find out for both these guys, are you legitimate contenders in the Heisman race or are you pretenders because of the schedule you faced? And I would say Caleb is less of a pretender than Bo, if that makes sense.
You know what's pretty badass if you are a Pac-12 football fan is that right now the three teams that we're talking about, Oregon, USC, and UCLA, you look up their quarterbacks and you look up their passer ratings, and they are 1, 2, and 3 in the conference. You got Nix at 1, Caleb Williams at 2, Dorian Thompson-Robinson at 3. So you have three good football teams that are good at the most important position on the field, all now vying for that coveted playoff spot that they can just never quite seem to get. But you know who's number 4 on that list, Aaron Murray? Bad Cam Rising. And again, the Pac-12 has made an art, Oregon especially, like to your point, Oregon has made an art of avoiding the playoff and the Pac-12 as a whole has made an art of having the lesser team win the championship so that they can never make the playoff. So I am incredibly excited to see how the Pac-12 plays out down the stretch here. Maybe like, whatever, college football, there's just fun all over. Probably SEC and Pac-12, though, has the most kind of conference-wide interest going on right now. Like Big Ten's 2 teams, right?
Yeah.
Big 12, per the playoff conversation, is just TCU. Now, they're a fun conference to just talk about, But like in terms of playoff, it's just easy. SEC, Pac-12, there's a lot of people that still got a little juice, got a little belief. You know what's a great way, Aaron, to take in your college football Saturday? Maybe going to the pool and bringing your Turtle Box audio, your Turtle Box Bluetooth speaker with you, right? At turtleboxaudio.com. I love my Turtle Box. I use it for everything now. Like, it's really insane. It's so portable. It's got the great handle. It's got little metal hooks in it if you want to like bungee cord it to like an ice chest or anything. Remember, this is an outdoor Bluetooth speaker that gets louder than any I've ever heard. It's completely waterproof. I still have only charged it once. I don't know what they did with the battery in this thing, but it never runs out. You can take it fishing, hunting. I'm not really much of an outdoorsman. I take it riding bikes around the neighborhood with my kids, play a little princess music, like doing decorations or dad stuff around the house. When I was drinking with my friend who ended up being a flat earther the other night, which really threw me for a loop. What made it better was listening to a little Louis Armstrong on the Turtle Box in the driveway with some beers flowing. Okay. And so go to turtleboxaudio.com, promo code SNAPS, turtleboxaudio.com, promo code SNAPS, $20 off and free shipping. And if you really, great gift idea. And if you really want to go all out, you buy 2 of these things. There's literally just a very simple button you press and it makes it a stereo setup where you're getting full surround sound. It's amazing. Oh, hell yeah. There we go. Dylan Meadows, my dogs that asked for one for Christmas, told him to use the promo code SNAPS. That's what I'm talking about, man. Very worth the money. I know it's a little expensive, but very, very worth the money. Quality product. Love Turtle Box. I'm Turtle Bob at this point. All right, Aaron. I think, okay, so I think we've already kind of done both of the first 2 conversations on this list.
Yeah.
Just to redo it, one and the same.
Yeah, I think just to reiterate, just since we're going to be on the topic, Tennessee is 95% of playoff lock once TCU loses one of these next 2 games.
I like how you just arbitrarily pulled that number out of thin air, but I do agree. Like I get what you're saying. Yes, yeah. It is more likely than not for sure that Tennessee ends up in the playoff, because all the disaster scenarios we're talking about, if we just look at history, it never really works out that way. Like we've only had one 2007, and that's for a reason. Is because normally just doesn't work out like that. But again, Aaron, the crazy shit tends to happen when, for whatever reason, LSU is in the mix. So I don't know.
How good. I would say this, like, we talk about every year, man, there's only 1 or 2 teams that can win a national championship. And maybe there only is one this year. Maybe it is just Georgia. But how entertaining would a 12-team playoff be? Because I think, right now, I think 1 through 12, I think anyone could beat anyone in the 1 through 12 right now. As we look at who the number 12 team is in the country.
I still don't know Georgia.
I think you
still don't know. Yeah, but outside of that, yes.
I'm saying that's why I said, like, excluding Georgia, I would say anyone from Ohio State down to UCLA on any given Saturday could beat anyone. Like, is there anyone left in that group like, oh, they're definitely going to win every single game against any of those competitors? Like, I don't think so. I think it would be – I honestly would love to see the spreads, but I think it would be a competitive game for every single game, excluding whoever Georgia plays.
Yeah, so here would be the proposed matchups if you're doing the thing where the top 4 conference winners get buys. You'd have Georgia, Ohio State, TCU, Oregon with buys. Then your first round games would be Tulane versus Michigan, which Michigan would dominate, but it's not a great matchup for Tulane. They like to run the ball and everything, but Michigan would probably dominate that. But then you get Ole Miss, Tennessee. I mean, who would not love to see that again after last year, the excitement we were treated to? You'd have Clemson, LSU. Are you kidding me? Clemson, LSU at this point in the season, battle for real, Death Valley, all that.
Yeah.
2 teams that are actually pretty evenly matched in a lot of ways. Like, that would be great.
LSU would beat
Alabama. I think so. I think so as well. But I'm not, whatever. And then you'd have Alabama, USC, and the winner of that would go on to play Georgia. The winner of Clemson, LSU would play Ohio State. The winner of Ole Miss, Tennessee would play TCU, and Michigan would basically end up playing Oregon. Like, if you're a college football fan, what about that doesn't sound awesome? And what about that sounds like you can just, especially this year, nothing about that says, oh, I can just pencil in a win here. Like maybe save for that Michigan Tulane game. And that is awesome. That is really exciting. Like I guarantee that Georgia wouldn't want to see a 9-seed Alabama coming out in that quarterfinal matchup. Like that would cause Georgia fans a little disconsternation. And that's why we should.
It's a hell of a word there, T-Bob. It's a hell of a word right there.
I don't even know if that's correctly used. I'm pretty sure it is.
I've never heard of it before, but you said it with confidence. I'll roll with you on that one.
Well, if something can be disconcerting, is disconsternation a word? Brum, can I get a?
I'm gonna rule yes, but it's iffy. Call on the field is stand, not confirmed. Let's go with that.
There you go. I like that.
It looks like there's some debate over this. So, but disconsternation logically should mean to alleviate anxiety or dismay. So I actually meant to say it should cause Georgia fans consternation. So that is on me. I did not use this word correctly.
We're leaving it up to the listeners. Not the dictionary.
Okay, yeah.
The listeners decide.
Well, in honor of the vote yesterday, yes. General democracy, definitely the smartest way to run any country ever.
Unless you're in the state of Georgia where we just love to do runoffs.
Hey, well, I mean, you know what? It's a close race, dude.
It's a race so nice we're going to do it twice, you know?
Yeah, joy.
Like couscous. The food's so nice they named it twice. That's a joke from Pineapple Express that for some reason lodged in my head and has never left. I cannot eat couscous without thinking about that every single time. All right. And then, okay. And again, here we are again. So Tennessee, you're going to make it. The CFP rankings remain fun to argue about these hypotheticals, even though yesterday I said that's my least favorite thing in the world. I actually love it, obviously. I don't know if I love this. And that is the question of how to... how exactly did you word on the rundown? How to see this is even more aggressive. So I had it in our early pre-show rundown as how can Saban right the ship? And here on the stream, Brum, in his producertorial overreach, has written how to fix Alabama. What are we talking about, y'all? And how have you manipulated me to the point where I am now going to have to defend Alabama? Like, this is absurd. I should not have to defend this. There is nothing to fix because they are not broken. Like, how far right the ship? What's wrong with the ship? A minor leak? Just patch it. Just get out a 2x4 and hammer that thing in. You give me this look here, and you're going to bring up last year. They won the SEC last year by beating the national champs, and they were injured to hell in the Natty game. I mean, okay, Aaron, look at the recruiting rankings. Bama had the number one class in 2019, and these are all 247 composites for whatever that's worth. Number one class in 2019, number two class in 2020, number one class in 2021, number two class in 2022, and they have the number one class in 2023 with 5 5-stars to UGA's 1 5-star. They aren't going anywhere. Everybody needs to classic Aaron Rodgers relax. Now, do their struggles tell me that something has gone wrong with getting the most out of this talent? Yes. Is that coordinators, whatever? Like there is a slight problem that needs to be fixed, but there is nothing so extreme as to ask, can he right the ship or does Alabama need to be fixed? No, it's just a slight alteration. I hate that I have landed here, but like we're just being crazy. And is it because Saban looks tired? Like I get it. He's old. We all look tired. I feel exhausted. Wait and see me and Aaron Murray here in about a month. We both got newborn babies running around on snaps. You want to see looking tired? You're thinking I'm ready to retire, but I love this job. I'm not going anywhere. And like, what has Nick ever told us that he's somehow going to leave?
Oh, he hasn't said anything. I agree with that. Like there's to me, there's no indication of Nick Saban leaving anytime soon. Well, at least in the next 5 years, but it goes to the point of if they don't win again next year, 1 year gets a little bit, okay, you give them a championship every other year, then every 2 years, then every 3 years, and then it's going to be every 4 years. the gap signals to me that there's something in the secret sauce isn't there. Huh?
They've basically been like, they're kind of averaging, I want to say, like every 3 years a championship.
Yeah, and basically, I just don't think right now, with the roster I see right now and what's returning next season, I don't think they're going to have an opportunity to win a national championship next year unless they go into the portal and magically get some 5-star quarterback, which they're capable of doing, and they really get back to getting some elite talent at both the receiving position and the offensive line. Like you said it best yesterday, T-Bob, like they have not been the dominant line of scrimmage football team that we were used to seeing for a long, long time. And then all of a sudden now, they got away with that because they had great skill on the outside and they could get the ball in the quarterback's hands and those receivers could create explosive plays. Well, now you don't have good offensive line play coupled with average receiving play, and that's a recipe for losses. And we're seeing that right now. So there are major glaring issues on this football team on both sides, on the secondary, their inability to stop the pass in certain games this season and last season, their inability to produce explosive plays on the offensive side, their inability to run at times, their inability to protect at times. Like these are things that Saban built the empire on. Running the football, dominate the line of scrimmage, and playing great defense. And we haven't seen that for 2 years now. So yes, there are some, it's not minor leagues. Like these are major leagues that once again, I don't see them being corrected next year. So then we're hoping and praying that come 2024, that this boat is patched up, ready to go as guess what? USC is getting better. LSU is getting better. Georgia's getting better. Yeah. All these other teams are right where they are. So,
so I think, look, LSU won the game. I don't think LSU is where Alabama is. Georgia,
I think LSU can get there fast, though. I do think LSU.
Yeah, they can. No, I'm not saying they can get. They can. But again, I just went through 5 years of number 1 or 2 classes. Like just looking at the last 5 years, it wasn't even arbitrary 5 years, right? Like
portal.
But I mean, UGA's not using the portal. No, look, I agree. LSU could maybe get to that level, but still, it's only like. Maybe not for this season, but in terms of overall program health, it's really Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama still, okay? And that has not changed because of one loss. And I think I disagree with you a bit on how big the leaks are. I mean, they got to be able to fix this offensive line problem somehow. The recruits are too good. I don't know if it's who their line coach is, if it's an issue there, or maybe it's an overall Bill O'Brien issue like everybody seems to be yelling about if you're an Alabama fan. But the talent is still there. And if there's one thing that Nick Saban's been incredible at, it's been remaining kind of ahead of the curve with how to best develop and employ that talent. So I still think he'll get it figured out. And I don't think that there's much to fix. And honestly, just a couple of this year, they're maybe far off from Georgia. I don't think in overall program health, they're very far off from Georgia at all. I think they're probably about equal. Do you agree with that or not?
They're not. I wouldn't say they're equal.
Overall program.
I would say I think Kirby has a legitimate chance to do a three-peat. So I think that they are a very.
How are you going to do a three-peat after LSU whoops that ass here in a few weeks? Why? Because go three-peat again and win the.
Yeah, Kirby's going to go back to back. Be home.
Dude, Kirby's going to be he's going to have the 2 most cuck back-to-back championships possible, as he's going to win back-to-back natties without winning the SEC championship. Pathetic. Put an asterisk by it. You can't win you only get one of those. I only allow you 1 natty win when you don't even win your own conference. If you get 2 of them, it actually works against you and your entire legacy is shattered.
Aaron, expand on that. What do you mean that you think they're going to win 3 championships in a row?
Well, I think look at Brom just kind of feeding me right now to get some good stuff. Well, they won last year. They're heavy favorites to win this year, so that's 2 right there. And then you look at what they're bringing back next season. The defense is pretty much all back. You lose Jalen, you lose Chris Smith, but everyone else is back, from the defensive line to the linebackers to the rest of the secondary. So it's a young defense, which should scare the shit out of everyone in the SEC that they're performing at this high of a level with all the youth that they have on that side of the football. Then you look at the offense. Some of the best players are going to be back next year. Bowers is back. McConkey's back. Offensive line is back. And I think Carson Beck has a chance to be a complete stud at the quarterback spot when he's given his chance once Stetson does finally move on at the age of 25. So I think they will be heavy, heavy favorites, mostly because of the defense, but then you also return a lot of the top skill guys. Oh, yeah, and A.D. Mitchell, too, that hopefully he gets back this season and not next season. But all in all, they most likely will run the East next year with Tennessee losing Hooker and some of those receivers. They'll be in the SEC championship game. Their schedules is maybe easier next year than it is this year. So, yeah, all indications are they will be one of the top teams for a chance to win the Natty next season.
A three-peat in the modern era would be pretty insane. Something that Nick Saban has never done. He's only done a two-peat. Or repeat, I guess is what that's actually called. That's the whole point of the three-peat play.
It's a bipede.
Also, Brum, I was about to say, be careful cracking that mic because I think you asked Aaron Murray to expand when you meant him to expound.
I did.
And you can try to argue.
Bilbo called me out.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can try to.
And no, I will not make a poll whether I use the word correctly because I control the polls.
Well, Jacob Junker raised a good question.
Over here.
Well, okay, with that in mind, Jacob Junker raises a good question I'd like to put on the poll. He says that Aaron Murray gives me drug dealer vibes. Does Aaron Murray give you drug dealer vibes?
Yeah,
I can see it a little bit.
That?
He's a little too pretty. He's a little too pretty, but there is an underlying Tampa element to him that definitely speaks to like, I've got some bad street cocaine if you want it, kid. Like if you were a little less pretty, like if your teeth weren't so straight or white and your teeth were a little more sketchy, I could see you kind of, maybe just slinging a little bit on the side, maybe got held back a year in high school, but unfortunately your teeth pushes you across the line a little bit there, I think.
Wow.
So,
wow.
You're lucky.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'll work on my drug dealer look after the show. And
I think Aaron Murray looks more like a DARE spokesman than a drug dealer.
Well, that's because the teeth. Again, everything goes back to the teeth, guys. Look at it. Yeah, so those beautiful pearly whites, of course he's not going to be dealing crystal meth. But if you jack those things up just a little bit, not even an aggressive amount, I don't even like full meth teeth, just a little bit, the Tampa would be very, very clear. Aaron, were you in Key West for spring break in 2010?
Yes. Someone asked that in the chat.
Evan said y'all should have seen Aaron in Key West spring break 2010.
Or 11 too. Hey, what happens in Key West?
Yes, West. And let's be clear. I probably look closer to a drug dealer than anybody on the show, for sure. Looking pretty greasy. No doubt about that. I agree. Brum, do you want to use your words?
I sure do. Aaron, do you have your whiteboard or did you leave it somewhere? Love it. Boom. Is that a case?
Whatever you sent me is
that's fun.
There. No.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with Rob. Rob says I look like I sell mushrooms. Aaron looks like he sells coke. Yeah, that's actually probably
if you guys were drug dealers, those would be your drugs of choice for sure. But we will not do that on Use Your Words. T-Bob, the next team to fire their coach is blank.
I mean, easy money. My pen doesn't work, by the way. You're not going to see this. WBU, West Virginia, dude. Get the hell out of here, Neil Brown. You're running the program into the ground. You got Jimbo out there floating around. You got Nick Saban out there floating around, a couple of West Virginia's finest sons. Get Neil Brown out of here yesterday. And somehow try to convince Jimbo Fisher to do some negotiating deal with A&M where they pay him like $50 million and he gets to come coach WU, which according to Message Board Geniuses, which is a very good Twitter account where they take message board comments, a guy on a message board said that he's very high sourced up at A&M and that very thing is going on right now. So I'm pretty sure that's true. But no, they should definitely fire Neil Brown though. I'm sorry, but I'm a West Virginia fan and it pisses me off.
I'm with you that he's next. So that means what opens up afterwards and who's going to move on? Jimbo Fisher going to West Virginia. Oh. You just brought the rumor, T-Bob. I mean, I don't think he would take it. And I'm talking about Jimbo here because I think it would be a sign of defeat. And I think the man has too much pride to do that. But he does have the famous comment of home is home and West Virginia is home.
Said it before the season. Home is home.
Yep. So we'll
see. And I don't know what's wrong with me, but to me, my brain is so broken by just star power and brand that I'm like, oh yeah, like out of one side of my mouth, I'm like, Jimbo's an awful coach and the game has passed him by. And out the other side of my mouth, I'm like, dude, he would kill it at West Virginia. It'd be great. Let's go, dude. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just full of it. But no, but I don't care what happens, Jimbo. Get rid of Neil Brown. All right.
Through 10 weeks into the season, who is your Heisman Trophy winner?
Did you ask me or Aaron? Did you ask me?
You first.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't.
I'll go first.
I think you broke my brain. You go first. I can't. I'm really bad at
I'm going Caleb Williams. You take Caleb Williams.
Sorry, go ahead.
What? He's the best quarterback in America right now. I think him and Drake May, man, both those guys, you take them off those teams are just bowl qualified. That's it. They're 6-6, 7-5 football teams. And UNC may actually be worse without Drake. So I think to me, those are the top two guys in the country that have done more and obviously especially Drake, don't get recognized as much as they should because they're not in the primetime games, primetime spots. And shoot, half those Pac-12 games I can't even get legally because they're on the Pac-12 network. Like you're sending me all these sketchy ass websites to watch them on T-Bob.
Yeah, those are the worst.
To even watch those guys. So I think Caleb's stuff.
So my only problem is that exact logic I would say also applies to Bo Nix and Oregon and Hendon Hooker in Tennessee. Those are both significantly worse teams with those quarterbacks. So after talking this out, admittedly bad at use your words. Also I'm bad at use your words because I've written this all very confusingly. I'm going Blake Corum. Okay. Like in this situation, I feel like all the quarterbacks are kind of eliminating each other this week, who'd win it right now? I'm going with Blake Corum because too many of these other quarterbacks are too similar in one way or another. Like Max Duggan.
No one's watched any Blake Corum this year. No one has watched Michigan football. That is the problem.
I know. Well, whatever. I reject the premise of this question anyway.
The premise of who was going to win the Heisman?
What do you mean? Yeah. Say something, Brum. I reject it. Okay, say something. I don't believe in it.
All right, we got use your words to wrap up the show because we have to go.
Okay, what do you got?
Have to go.
Oh, like you use your words to wrap up the show. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for. You don't want to do one more? Thank you all so much for joining us today on Snaps. We love y'all. Look, please, wherever you get your podcasts, if you subscribe to the show, that really helps us. And if you could rate or review it, that really helps. Share with your friends. We love you. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, hit the like button. Huge news for the Volume Boys. Daniel Cormier joining the Volume. Let's go. Volume Sports Network continues to be on the up and up. So now technically we're teammates with Cormier. That's very cool. Lafayette's finest. Huge thank you to Fanduel. Remember to download the Fanduel Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. No sweat bet. No sweat same game parlay up to $10 for everyone.
What promo code, T-Bob?
What did I say?
Baton Rouge.
God, dog it. All these. I'm just one giant freaking NASCAR sentient. I'm just a giant.
Hey, at least
sentient
someone was
billboard.
listening to you because I would not have corrected you there. But
I'm literally my whole job.
I'm looking at our chats right now, just seeing all the unique things that I missed during this chat, and somehow got talked about me being a good doubles partner. Really don't.
Like in tennis, you do look like a great doubles partner. Actually, I could see that definitely.
More pickleball than tennis, but yes, that works too.
I'd smash you in pickleball, dude. Anyway, promo code SNAPS, FanDuel Sports. We got promo code SNAPS. Shout out Turtlebox. Shout out Papa Colin. Listen to us on the AMP. Thank you to Paulie Walnuts, Ryan Brumley, and PG for making this show happen. And we will see you tomorrow right here on Snaps.